Well, we'll do this week's Grow Weather. We are actually going to talk about the year in review weather-wise. Joining us is Mike Moritz, Warning Coordination Meteorologist from the National Weather Service in Hastings. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We'll talk a little bit, starting off in terms of general sense, like the drought. Definitely a big impact on our area, but what have we seen through the past year?
Overall, the year was a good year in terms of drought, meaning that parts of the area that were in drought early in the year, actually by the end of the year, we ended up with most of Nebraska and Kansas out of drought. So in terms of precipitation across the region, it was actually a pretty good year.
Now, temperature-wise, we did see a warmer year compared to normal, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. The entire year, really for much of the country, not just our region, was above normal. And it was really fueled in this part of the area by a very warm fall. For instance, Grand Island had the third warmest September, October, November on record, trailing only a couple years in the 1930s. So if you thought it was really nice and warm this fall, it really was.
So as we take a look at some specifics, we'll start off with winter time. And we did have a few snowfall events, right?
Yeah, overall the winter was a little nondescript. We had some pretty decent snow in parts of February and south central Nebraska, but for most of the region, we were actually below normal last winter in terms of snow. Some areas were as much as 15 inches below normal. So last winter really wasn't that difficult in terms of wintertime weather.
But as we headed into May and June, we did see some of the flooding along the Platte River. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was really a unique event because we've actually had two significant floods along the Platte River in the last 2 or 3 years. This event occurred in May and June, and it was primarily driven not by rainfall here, but by rain in western Nebraska and Colorado, and also a fairly rapid snowmelt in the Colorado mountains. We had 6 or 7 weeks of significant high flows, flooding conditions along the Platte River. You know, fortunately, the impacts are right close to the river, but there certainly were impacts in terms of damaged roads, cropland, pasture land lost. So
in terms of severe weather, we did see some severe weather in May, some tornadoes reported, and plus some severe weather in November too, which is unusual.
A couple different types of events. May 6th was literally like a tornado outbreak. We had 11 tornadoes in south central Nebraska and northern Kansas. That included the tornado that hit Roseland. We had a tornado in Thayer County that had a 37-mile path. So those were significant tornado events. And then we wrapped it up in November with a rare November tornado. Only 4 times since 1950 have tornadoes been reported in Nebraska. This tornado crossed the Nebraska-Kansas border in Furness County near Oxford, was on the ground for about 13 miles, did hit one farmstead, and then that night and the next day we had snowfall in that area. So just a wide variety of weather across our region this year.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a lot of that. Thanks so much for joining us. Tune in, we'll have more on Grow coming up.